Gardening is full of surprises. Sometimes, the best discoveries are the simplest ones. I had a patch in my garden that was very sad indeed. The soil was hard and lifeless. It was like a brick. I had tried digging it. I had tried adding a bit of compost, but nothing seemed to work. There were no worms, no life. A garden without worms is a garden in trouble. They are the engine of the soil, you see. They create tunnels for air and water. They turn old leaves into rich food for plants. Without them, my soil was just dirt. It was compacted, sad, and empty. One afternoon, I was cleaning out the kitchen pantry. I found a loaf of old stale bread. It was hard and a bit moldy. My first thought was to throw it on the compost heap. But then I had a different idea. A bit of an experiment. I remembered stories from old-time gardeners. They used simple kitchen scraps to feed their soil. I wondered what would happen if I used this old bread. It felt like a long shot. But in gardening, you must always be willing to try new things. So, I decided to see if this forgotten loaf could bring some life back to my dead patch of earth. I broke the bread into small pieces. Then, I put them into a bucket of water. I left it to sit for a few days. It began to smell a bit funky, a bit yeasty. It was a smell of fermentation, of life starting to break things down. This was the smell of change. The water turned cloudy and murky. It looked like a strange, forgotten soup. I wasn't sure if it would work, but I carried the bucket over to the sad patch of soil. With nothing to lose, I poured the strange, smelly liquid all over the hard, cracked ground. I didn't expect to see much happen. The next morning, I went out to check on my little experiment. Honestly, I expected to see nothing but damp, hard soil, but what I saw instead was truly astonishing. The surface of the soil was dotted with small holes, and there were dozens of worm castings everywhere. Worm castings are the little piles of digested soil that worms leave behind. They are pure gold for a gardener. It was a sign that the worms had come. They had come up from deep in the ground, drawn by the smell. In just one night, my lifeless patch of soil was showing signs of recovery. It was a small miracle in my own backyard. You might be wondering why something as simple as rotting bread and water works so well. What is the secret? It is not magic, but simple science. Worms are decomposers. Their job in the garden is to break down organic matter. They eat things like fallen leaves, dead roots, and old vegetable scraps. The rotting bread mixture is like a powerful signal to them. It tells them that there is a big, delicious meal waiting. It is a feast they simply cannot resist. The smell travels down through the soil, calling them to the surface. When bread soaks in water, it starts to ferment. This process is helped by yeast and other microorganisms that are naturally in the air and on the bread itself. These tiny living things begin to break down the starches and sugars in the bread. This creates a very attractive smell for earthworms. It smells rich and organic. It signals a high-energy food source. Worms have a very good sense of smell in their own way. They can detect these chemical signals in the soil. The bread water essentially sends out an invitation that they find impossible to ignore. Think of it like a dinner bell for your underground helpers. When you ring a bell for dinner, your family comes to the table. When you pour this bread water on the soil, the worms come to the feast. The mixture is full of simple sugars and carbohydrates that are easy for them to digest. This gives them the energy they need to tunnel, to breed, and to enrich your soil. They are not just eating the bread itself, but also the wonderful soup of bacteria and fungi that are growing on it. This is a complete meal for them. This process is so effective because it kickstarts the entire soil food web. The microorganisms break down the bread. The worms are attracted to the microorganisms in the bread. The worms then burrow through the soil, creating channels for air and water. Their castings add incredible nutrients that plants can use right away. So, you are not just feeding the worms, you are starting a chain reaction. A reaction that brings your soil back to life. It aerates the soil, improves drainage, and adds fertility. All with one simple, smelly bucket of water. Making this wonderful worm attractant is incredibly easy. You do not need any special equipment. You only need a few simple things you likely already have in your home. First, you will need some old bread. Any kind of bread will do. White, brown, wholemeal, or even old bread rolls or crusts. Stale and slightly moldy bread is perfectly fine. In fact, it might even work a little bit better. You will also need a bucket or a large container, and some water. That is all there is to it. It is a wonderful way to use up old food and avoid waste. Here is the first step. Take your stale bread and break it into small pieces. The smaller the pieces, the faster they will break down in the water. You can tear it with your hands, or chop it up. Aim for pieces about the size of your thumb. Place all of these bread pieces into your bucket. Do not worry if there is a bit of mold on the bread. Mold is a type of fungus, and it is part of the decomposition process. It will only help to make the mixture more attractive to the microorganisms and, in turn, the worms. Next, fill the bucket with water. Use regular tap water. Rainwater from a water butt is even better if you have it. Pour enough water in to completely cover the bread. You want the bread pieces to be floating and soaking. Give it a gentle stir with a stick or your hand. This helps to make sure all the bread gets wet. Now, you just need to be patient. Place a lid loosely on top of the bucket. This keeps curious animals out but still lets air in. Let the bucket sit somewhere out of the way for about 3 to 5 days. After a few days, you will notice the water has become cloudy. It will also have a distinct yeasty smell. It might smell a bit like a brewery or a bakery. This is a good sign. It means the fermentation is happening. The mixture may have some bubbles on the surface. It will look quite unappealing, but to a worm, it smells delicious. Your bread water is now ready to use. You have successfully created a powerful tonic for your soil. It is a simple recipe for bringing life back to the garden, using something that you might have thrown away. Now that your potent bread water is ready, it is time to apply it to the garden. Using it is just as simple as making it. The best time to apply it is in the evening or on a cloudy day. This is when worms are naturally more active and closer to the surface. The cool, damp conditions help them move around more easily. You definitely want to avoid pouring it on a hot, sunny day, since the sun can dry out the soil too quickly. You want the mixture to have time to soak deep into the ground, sending its wonderful smell down to where the worms are hiding. Before you apply the bread water, it is a good idea to lightly water the area first, especially if your soil is very dry and compacted. Damp soil will help the bread water soak in more effectively. If you pour it onto baked hard ground, it might just run off the surface. So a quick spray with a hose or a watering can will moisten the top layer. This prepares the ground to receive the treatment, creating a welcoming path for the mixture to travel down into the soil, right where you want it to go. Now take your bucket of bread water. You can pour it directly from the bucket onto the soil, or you can use a watering can for more even distribution. Make sure to pour the liquid and all the soggy bread pieces onto the garden bed. Do not strain it. Those soggy bits are a key part of the feast for the worms. Concentrate on the areas that need the most help. This could be a new vegetable bed, a patch of compacted lawn, or the soil around struggling plants. Spread it out evenly over the entire area you want to revive. After applying the mixture, you can cover the area with a light mulch if you like. A thin layer of grass clippings, shredded leaves, or straw will do. This is not essential, but it helps. The mulch keeps the soil moist for longer and also provides another layer of food for the worms once they arrive. Then, all you have to do is wait. Within a day or two, you should start to see the signs of worm activity. You can repeat this process every few weeks to keep the worms happy and your soil full of life. Gardeners have many ways to improve their soil. For centuries we have relied on adding compost and well-rotted manure. These are fantastic methods. I use them all the time. They add rich organic matter and nutrients to the soil over time. However, they can be slow. It takes months or even a year to make good compost. Sourcing good manure can also be difficult and expensive. These are long-term solutions for building healthy soil, and they are incredibly important for the overall health of your garden. They build structure and fertility slowly and steadily. The bread water trick is different. It is not a replacement for compost or manure. Instead, it is a fast-acting tool. Its main advantage is speed. It can bring worms back to a lifeless patch of soil in a matter of days, not months. This is perfect when you need a quick fix. Perhaps you are starting a new bed and want to get it ready for planting quickly. Or maybe you have a patch of soil that has become hard and compacted over winter. The bread water acts as an immediate invitation, bringing the worms in to start the work of soil improvement right away. This method is also incredibly simple and accessible. Almost everyone has old bread from time to time. It costs nothing. You do not need large compost bins or a trailer to haul manure. All you need is a bucket. This makes it a perfect technique for gardeners with small spaces, like a balcony or a small urban garden. It is also wonderful for beginners who might be intimidated by the process of making compost. It is a small, easy step that anyone can take to start improving their soil biology. It shows that you do not need a lot of money or space to be a good gardener. By using this simple trick, you are setting the stage for a more productive garden. Healthier soil means healthier plants. When worms are active, your soil has better aeration and drainage. Your plant roots can grow deeper and stronger. The nutrients in the soil become more available for the plants to use. This leads to bigger, tastier vegetables and more beautiful flowers. So, do not give up on poor soil. Nature has given us simple and powerful ways to heal it. This breadwater trick is one of the best. I encourage you to try it. You will be amazed at the life that returns to your garden.